Good morning. Arthur Offaly speaking on behalf of the Arthur Offaly Foundation. Now, the Arthur Offaly Foundation watched with horror the BBC Panorama programme about Medway Boys Home on the 11th of the 1st, 16, and how that so-called security firm of G4S carried out their duties on vulnerable children. These children need help, not abuse. Now, those bullies who were named should receive stiff jail sentences and never be allowed to dare to be near young boys again. I was glad that the British police moved in straight away. That's what you call a proper police force. Now, going back to the BBC Spotlight programme here last year in Northern Ireland about the sham at Stormont, when so-called politicians, including MPs, MLAs and councillors, and also civil servants who work at Stormont, stole hundreds of thousands of pounds from the public purse. The BBC named many of the so-called politicians and their parties. Since then, not one of those named or any members of their parties have been questioned. Now, these scum are untouchable and can steal at will, and that corrupt, discredited RUC PSNI can stand by and do absolutely nothing, and yet they call themselves a police force. Now, I am still waiting on Pat McCartan and his so-called team who were supposed to look into the fraud, but sure, what do you expect? After all, they all work for the same boss. As I said at the time, if they wanted a proper job done, they should bring in the police from Britain. And I was right all along. I would like the BBC Spotlight programme to put these scum to shame and do another programme about those corrupt politicians, and to ask the big question, why the RUC-PSNI have not carried out their duty. It would be very interesting to hear what they would have to say, as we the public demand to know what happened to our public purse funds. Now, my organisation, the Arthur Offaly Foundation, has asked the RUC repeatedly, about 6 times, to explain why no one has ever been arrested, but have got no reply at all. When the BBC named those politicians, I expected them to rush to the courts to clear their names, but as you see, not one took a case against the BBC for slander, for defamation of character. If I had nothing to hide, I would be the first in line to sue the BBC. So to me, the BBC got it spot on. These people were guilty of fraud, and yet the RUC-PSNI have stood back and done nothing. How can anyone call them a police force? These same politicians, still in power, still getting paid wages from the public purse, the very purse that they stole from. Now, these people are a disgrace. They wouldn't know what morality was, and they have the audacity to ask the public to vote for them again in the next elections. So I leave it up to the public to judge for themselves when these so-called politicians come knocking at their doors, asking for your vote so that they can go back and steal more money from the public purse. Surely now it's time for the decent people to tell these hypocrites where to go. Now, I have been in business for many years here in Northern Ireland, dealing with all classes of people, and I have come to the conclusion that this is the most corrupt country in the world. Then you get those politicians. Now, compared to those politicians we have working at Stormont, I would classify Hitler as an altar boy. Other services such as court services, legal services, police services, and of course the Belfast Health Social Care Trust at Beach Hall on the Anderson Town Road all fall well short of their targets and all need to be looked into seriously. Anyone who would like a tip of this story or any one of my stories can call me on my mobile 077 1592 1137. Leave your name and address and I will send you a tip free. Thank you. Anyone who has a story to tell and wishes me to air it can call me on my mobile 077 1592 1137, or I can send a reporter out to get your story. And remember, I will tell your story as you tell me. Nothing will be cut out. Now watch more of my stories on YouTube, ArthurRafferty.com, YouTube Arthur Rafferty, Arthur Rafferty Dogger, YouTube Jackspot 2012. That is a tip about the brutal murder of my father by a 5-man gang of Sinn Féin IRA led by Freddie Scappaticci on the orders of the British government, the RUCPSNI and the Special Branch, as they were all police informers. That Sinn Féin IRA scum Scappaticci carried out their orders on their command. Now my email is arthurrafferty1@gmail.com. Thank you for watching AASNI TV and listening to the Arthur Rafferty Foundation. And good morning, and I will see you soon.